All right, you're welcome to a fresh edition, the midweek edition of Summit. But of course, it is Jumoke's beat. Jumoke, I won't take over your job.
All right, good morning and welcome again to another edition of Summit. It's Wednesday, the 24th of July, 2019. And today on the program, this first segment of the program, we'll be talking about our environment, talking about achieving the cleaner Lagos dream. You're welcome to the program. And Banji, today we are just going on
straight
to our discussion.
So many issues, but environment takes the top on the list.
Yeah.
Sir, the executive governor of Lagos State.
We have not welcomed him.
Oh, I wanted to hit the ground running.
You're welcome to our program this morning.
Thank you very much.
Yes, joining us is Mr. Ola Oresanya, the CEO LAWMA. He's not a new person to the program, so no long talk.
No long talk.
Yeah.
And he's the square peg in a square hole. And he's back at his beat, doing what he knows how to do best. The last two times you were here, sir, so much was actually discussed on how your efforts to actually put things right at LAWMA. You recall that the executive governor of this state, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, signed two orders. Was it three? And prominent among the others was the one on sanitation, environment and sanitation, where your agency, LAWMA, actually falls. Now, how has that impacted on your activities?
Well, the executive order is it's a kind of matching order, let's put it that way, and with a clear objective in focus that we must get certain result, and that the result, the KPI I call it, the performance index there, is the elimination of indiscriminate dumping of refuse on Lagos streets, and that's a matching order. So LAWMA as an institution and other establishments and government, local governments, LAWMA, Lagos, and transportation, everybody, we all have to work together to make sure we achieve this objective to eliminate indiscriminate dumping of refuse on Lagos Street. In a nutshell, what the governor wants and what the governor is looking forward to is to find a time, and within a very short time, where seeing refuse on the street of Lagos will be a taboo.
All right, now we are in the rainy season, and like never before, the kind of flooding that we have experienced in this year, 2019, has been enormous. You know, and then when the rain falls, you just find everywhere littered with rubbish and all that. I know there was a time that Lagos residents were actually stopped, dumping refuse anyhow, but now we find that people no longer take any kind of precaution. Now, what is the plan on ground to actually tidy up the environment in that regard?
Well, the first thing there was to reverse the law that gave people that effrontery to be doing that in the first instance, because the sanitation law of 2006 was tampered with in 2016. And that was where we now had people, there was no law to arrest anybody from dumping refuse on the road for that time, because there was a company that was given the authority, the power, the concession, to be scooping refuse on the road. So people saw it as, okay, fine, that was what government wanted, and people were dumping on the road. So the first thing was to reverse the law, which we've done right now. And the second thing there was to make sure that we revive the confidence of the investors, which is the PSP in this regard, and the tenements, all right? So that the tenements can now be assured that, look, if we ask everybody to dump refuse, to put their refuse in front of their houses, that order will be obeyed, So that was the clear directive there. So, and people have to be assured that, look, if they put their refuse in the front of their houses, vehicles will come and pick it. And we have to assure the PS that if you walk, you get paid. And one way or the other, they can recover their cost. So, and the institution to do that is LAWMA, which is actually like the regulator to make sure that we will bring everybody back on the stream. So that is what LAWMA is doing. And also to bring the local government on board so that the local government too can actually do what they're supposed to do, to synergize with LAWMA to ensure that at their own local government area, we all ensure that we eliminate indiscriminate dumping of refuse, and that we make sure that the right people pick the refuse where they're supposed to pick it. And yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to do right now.
Oh, you're trying to do it. Reversing the law was a great achievement for you, for your agency, as LAWMA. But do you actually have the capacity, talking about the PSP operators getting to the doorsteps of Lagosians, residents in Lagos, to be able to actually do carry out the objective of LAWMA, as in picking the refuse at the doorstep and ensuring that the residents have no cost whatsoever to actually go to the roads?
Yes, before 2015, I think there was no question about whether there was capacity because the job was done.
Yeah.
We're talking of now, sir.
Yes, yes. So now, I think I want to assure you that what we did then, we had even the greater capacity to surpass even that standard then. So it's a matter of just fixing the jigsaw, blocking the gaps, and making sure that everybody, you're all alive to your responsibility. Let everybody have a clear work order and the deliverables are clear, and that the regulator ensures that everybody delivers. Local government must deliver what they're supposed to do. LAWMA must do what they're supposed to do. The PS must do what they're supposed to do. And the masses also, the people are supposed, they do what they're supposed to do. Companies and everybody. And even government itself will do what they're supposed to do. So by the time you're able to garnish all this together, I don't see any reason why that capacity kind of. So it's all a matter of combining, aggregating all these capacities from everybody and making sure that the regulators, which is LAWMA this time around, have a clear understanding of what the deliverables are and ensure that everybody who is involved bring what they're supposed to bring on the table. And in a matter of time, things will even surpass what we have.
Tell us the situation as of today concerning the dump sites. I mean, the challenge in the past has always been getting to far distant areas to actually dump the refuse packed from. What's the situation as of today, sir? And
I've been noticing a lot of queue from the trailers, especially at this one at
Olusoso.
Yes. A long queue.
Yeah, before now, there was a challenge on the dump site where I think the main dump site, which is Olusoso, Olusoso receives more than 60% of the waste in Lagos, if I may let you know that. That's more than about almost 6,000 to 7,000 tons of waste enters Olusoso on a daily basis. And like I've described the other time, if you fill a trailer with refuse, we give you about 10 tons. So 1,000 tons is about 100 trailers. And about 6,000 to 7,000 tons, that means about 600 loads of refuse, trailer loads of refuse enter Olusoso in a day. Right, so that tells you the volume, where the others take the remaining 4,000 to 5,000 tons. Now, what we had to do was to reopen Olusoso. That is the end point. Because waste management, put in a very simplistic form, is a process of taking waste from A to B. A is the point of generation, where the refuse is not needed, where it is discarded. And B is a point where the refuse is either processed or final disposal point. So while you are efficient at A, you must open up B also. B must be ready to receive. All right, and there was a strangulation at B in the former process. So we have to open up more Bs, where all the aggregate from A's must get there. So Olusoso, we have to open up Olusoso quickly. Was a form of emergency opening that we had then. And that was why refuse is now flowing into that area. But we realized that the place was not really prepared for the kind of rain, the torrential rain that we've been having these days. So, and we can excuse the queue that has been seen in the last few days. That tells you that the moment the rain stops, the August break and subsequent dry season, the site will be well prepared to receive those volumes, and there won't be such an embarrassing situation.
All right, I learned about a new project from LAWMA called Lagos 4 a.m. Initiative. Has it started off, or it's still something in the pipeline?
It has started.
Okay.
Right, for those people that leave their houses 4 a.m. and things like they will have been seeing it. They will have been seeing it. So the Lagos at 4 has started.
All right, so what is it about?
Well, it's all about staying ahead of traffic, making sure that when Lagosians are leaving their houses, they see clean streets. They don't get to their offices seeing very, having unsightly views. You know, these things can actually contribute to raising your blood pressure or making sure that you are aggressive when you get to office. When you drive through refuse dumps on the road to get to your office, you get agitated somehow because you've seen very, very terrible situations. So we want to contribute to the well-being of Lagosians and health of Lagosians so that we stay ahead of the traffic. This traffic in Lagos starts building up from about 5:30 in the morning to 6. So LAWMA will stay ahead of this traffic. We'll clear those roads, clean them up, so that when you are going to your office, you don't have the terrible sights. Because people still dump refuse on the road, and we have to stay ahead of this, so that with the refuse trucks and the refuse itself, we don't start competing with the road for the people. It's not everywhere. We're running pilots in about 10 routes right now, selective routes. And we're learning one or two things to learn from there, and we now scale up from the experiences that probably we may have from there. So it's ongoing, and Lagos and the Lagos State will be better for it. And you will have attest to this because there are some routes that you drive through right now. You don't see refuse on those routes again. I get it. You don't see refuse on those routes again. You know, but like I tell my colleague, it's a job that has a negative appreciation. It's a job that people will notice when you are not doing it. When you are doing it so well, people will take it for granted. They don't even notice. Yeah. People don't know now that those areas where you see refuse those days and you get agitated, you know, and start showing the thing on WhatsApp and on social media. You see less of that on social media these days. You know, like I drove through Mushin yesterday, and I was telling my colleague, I said, look, I remember the video that went viral last year about Mushin and the refuse piling up, lying in state on Mushin Road. I drove through the same Mushin yesterday. I was sparkling. I felt so good. But people around there are not too conscious of that some people have gone ahead to clean the city, to clean the road and make it habitable for everybody. So that's the nature of the job, but we're not discouraged. We keep doing what we are supposed to do.
All right, we'll take a quick break now, and then when we return, we'll have more discussion with Mr. Ola Oresanya. Please stay with us.
I just want your papers, please.
Sir.
Salary don't enter. Yes, so. And month never even reach that. Na salary plenty, oh. No wonder I no gree collect roja from my hand. Shut up, sir. I'm here to bail my younger brother. happen.
With good laws,
proper funding, training,
and cooperation.
if it happen.
All right, thanks for still being there. We still have Mr. Ola Oresanya here, the CEO LAWMA. All right, before we went on that break, you just talked about what the plans are on ground to tackle these issues of refuse management. But another angle I want us to talk about is this issue of recycling. You know, how well are people doing? Are they, is there enough sensitization in that regard to help people know what to do about waste recycling?
Well, you probably, if you follow the campaign trail of His Excellency, Mr. Sanwo-Olu, when it comes to environment, all his focus along there was about recycling, you know. So he's a person that has a passion for recycling. I think that's the good news for environment entities in the state, and the LAWMA in particular, because that means there's a leader that has a vision of sustainable waste management program, because recycling is it. So be on the lookout for a program called the Lagos Blue Box Agenda. It's going to be launched.
Lagos Blue Box
Blue Box Agenda. All right, the Blue Box Agenda is a recycling program whereby every household in Lagos that has a waste container, all right, you are qualified to have either a blue box or a blue bag. And inside that blue bag, you put all recyclables in there. And for every local government in the state, we're registering recyclers for each local government. And that recyclers will come to your house with a coupon. So once you give him the blue box, the blue bag, where you have all recyclables there, maybe once a month or twice a month, he gives you a coupon. All right, and that coupon is a discount coupon, which you use in paying for your PSP waste management. So when the PSP comes to pick your refuse and they give you a bill, you pay with a coupon. So it's like almost free.
Is that like a decrease?
A kind of
a decrease,
incentive.
yeah.
For poor communities, it's almost going to be a zero payment. But for high income area, it's just a kind of a fraction of what you're supposed to pay. So it's a discount coupon that will run through with this, and it's on the Blue Box Agenda. And the state government and some private organizations are going to power this, so that you have materials sorted at doorstep.
Good.
And these materials will be warehoused at community recycling centers, which we must have each in all the local government in the state. And the off-takers who are going to do the converting the waste paper into tissue, into newspaper, into all those, will pick from those centers, and those are to convert the PET bottles into jerseys, into all those things. We'll pick from all those centers also. And LAWMA midwife the whole process, so that there's a good incentive of sorting at source, and that you have less of waste coming into the waste bin. And I think Lagos will be better for it. And we're creating a new job. There are green jobs that will be created there under the concept of circular economy, which Lagos is adopting seriously. And that is part of the ingredient of the smart city agenda for Lagos, which is up and running since the Babatunde Fashola's regime. Lagos' aspiration is to remain a smart city. And this is one of the smart components that will be launched very soon, the Blue Box Agenda. So it's a main resource recovery recycling agenda that is coming up.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
all right, this blue box we're talking about,
Yeah.
is it going to be provided by LAWMA to each household?
Yes, exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Households that you already have a container. So that means you're already doing the best practice. You are conscious of doing the right thing. So if you have a container in your house, you are due to have a blowback free.
Okay.
That goes to actually prove the point that almost every resident will require the container.
You are supposed to have it
So
yourself.
then, as we speak, no more than about maybe 30% of Lagosians can boast of the containers.
Well,
so what do you intend to do?
Well, I think the blue box agenda is to drive you, because by law you must have your container. So when you see your neighbor with a container that is almost having service free, I think there's an incentive for you to quickly get your own container. Are you getting me? So that the moment you have container in your house, you must have the blue box. I mean, you must have the blue bag. And the blue bag tells you that you are free to put your recyclables there, and you get a discount coupon, and you're almost not paying for it, refuse.
Yeah, so that means we are moving away from the era where refuse used to be a burden to residents.
Yeah.
Now, what about the project? I recall that some time ago, not too long ago, there was this project of turning waste to energy.
Right.
Now, you actually embarked upon. Is it a program laid to rest, or is still on it?
No, those are part of the restoration component. We have to restore so many things. I talked to you about the collection restoration, where we have to restore the confidence of the service provider and the public. Waste conversion is a huge thing. You can convert waste into several things. So waste to energy is one of the components of the waste conversion. And by the time you restore the operation and services at the landfill site, especially Olusosun landfill site, you're bound to have, this waste conversion strategy that will come back to for sure. So those are just part of the component of the waste of the restoration program.
Yeah, I think one other issue is this issue of the monthly sanitation, because there's a little bit of argument that if the residents are paying for LAWMA services, why do they need to also still embark on this monthly sanitation? Clearing and by themselves when they are making payment to LAWMA to clear the environment.
So, of course, it became a legal issue. A judicial matter sometime when some residents actually went to court and they got an injunction. So that was why the monthly sanitation was actually kept on hold. But there's been a renewed kind of discussion on it. Some Lagosians are actually requesting for the return of the monthly exercise. What's your opinion, and what's the government thinking? What's the government thinking about it?
Well, it would be unfair for me to express my opinion at this stage, and it would be premature also, since the governor of the state has already given his opinion on the matter. So mine is to queue behind his opinion. I'm an employee for now, all right, and I must queue within this. And his opinion is that he's throwing this thing back into the public domain for advice, for discussion. So what we are only going to do is to analyze all these various opinions. And many of you, the stakeholders like you, are going to be invited to this opinion analysis, and where we're going to have the final debate on it, so that by that time, maybe that's going to be the fourth executive order that will come.
The fourth executive order.
No, but I think you can say something on the angle of people thinking that if they are paying for LAWMA services, LAWMA should be able to clear their environment, clear their gutters, clear all the drainages around them and all that.
Yes, I have my opinion about it, but like I said, it will be premature.
All right, still premature?
I think so, because it's better for us to, let's get into the, it's an inclusive approach to governance, what the governor is bringing. And you don't gag people with it. Let them express their opinion. Yes, let's see. It does not mean they are right. It does not mean they're wrong. But let's even see the mind of the people. What are they thinking? So that we just don't stay out there and be believing that we know how they think, we know it all and things like that. Let's even hear them out. Let them express their mind. Then by the time we are now drawing our inferences and drawing our conclusions, we can itemize reasons and we can discuss on each of the points. So right now, the Ministry of Information and Strategy is gathering all these ideas and what the people's opinion has always been with this regard. And they're going to draw an FAQ on the day they are going to be a town hall meeting, frequently asked questions, and that will be compressed to now draw on the conclusion. It will be looked on the social angle, the legal angle, the moral issue, and the environmental issue. So everything will be subjected to those issues, and we'll draw an inference, and everybody will be better for it. Does not, if I talk about my opinion right now, that would be gagging the people and say, oh, Mr. Oresanya has said this, and I may be influencing some other people that may want to come with something more logical than mine.
Okay.
I know that from time to time, government has always had a kind of intervention programs. In the recent past, you actually acquired some trucks. We see them on the roads. And how has that actually helped the operations of LAWMA, and then in terms of assisting and partnering with the PSP operators? Has that actually added much value? Oh,
definitely. Anything that will pull the waste out of the city, out of the streets, is what we do. If you have to use tipper, you have to use pickle, we have to even use betu, whatever we do. You know what I mean by betu?
I don't know.
Whatever.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Come and learn. I'll teach you at the cost.
Whatever abracadabra I can use to pull the waste out of the street, I must use, and I think that's exactly what we're doing. You know, we are swimming against the tide. You know, there was an organized chaos on the street and lawlessness, and so whatever you have to do, it's an emergency situation, all right, and a period of emergency like that, you have to deploy all the things you can deploy. So
your agency has not really fully succeeded in terms of sanitizing the operations, particularly this menace of the cart pushers. It's still very much prevalent.
Yes, it's not going to disappear all of a sudden. These are things you have to be systematic about it, and you have to build a sequence. You know, you have to run through a grid. You know, this area first, that area first, that area follow, and build the sequence. And prime areas in the city, yes, we've done that, and we are going to the peripheral and the outer rings, and you continue to the rural, the suburban and the rural areas. So it's something that has to go on with time, you know. It's not, you're dealing with human beings and not machines, right? So whatever we say now, some other people still don't believe until they see action. So, and you have to put some action forward. And even when they see the action, some people will still be doubting and tell you it's a mirage. Until you are consistent and you sustain those actions before they now believe you truly, and it's okay, fine. Oh, now I know that when I leave this refuse here, they will come and pick it. Some people still believe that, look, PSP, they're not reliable. Oh, government is not reliable. Cart pushers are more reliable. If they come to my house, they will beat their thing. I'll give them and the refuse disappears. Whether they're going to dump inside canal or wherever is secondary, is immaterial to them, as long as the refuse moves away from the street. So for such people, the doubting Thomases, you have to really bend over and over to prove. And for the cart pushers also, you have to be mindful of the fact that it's not all the cart pushers that are criminals. And most of these people, they are catching in on the fact that the gaps there. And we have to admire even their resilience also. So some of them will encourage them to join the PSP or to go into some other businesses and be mild with them. You know, you don't have to. We have to be sensitive to the fact that you don't have too many jobs these days. And if you see a young man who is trying to make a living through that kind of an system,
so you don't criminalize him for
exactly. So we're taking it a step after the other.
All right, we have the new administration in Lagos State has come up with traffic laws and with sanctions. Now, do we look forward to having sanitation laws with sanctions?
Yeah, they're in existence. You will have heard that we've been able to. We've started with institutions and especially markets. Recently, we locked down Ladipo market. Was shut down. Shangotedo market, we had to shut them down, and they pay their fine for not conforming with the rules on regulation. So, and we're going on and on like that, especially markets, because markets are the main source of public waste on our road. They are stationed contiguous to major highways, and if they don't do it right, you start having all these problems. So motor parks also will be able to slam these fines on them. So we just don't make too much noise about this. But gradually we're moving on with that, and it's going on very well.
People are actually aware. Is there enough sensitization? Are you actually doing, going to markets to kind of talk to them, going to motor parks and some other stakeholders, letting them know, oh, we are here to just let you know these are your duties and responsibilities. If you have a clean environment, it's for the betterment of everybody in the state. Do they have that?
Oh yes, yes. It's we call it the double
advocacy?
E. We call it the double E instrument that we use. It's enlightenment and enforcement. Before we enforce you, we must have gone through that route of educating you, enlightening, and making sure, look, don't put it here, put it there. We'll have created alternative for you. You know, we have a moral obligation to the people also. So it's not a matter of just going on offensive towards the human being. We don't have to make life difficult for our people, all right? But we have to be firm on doing the right thing, you know? So before we slam you, you will have... yes, you must have gone overboard. Most of them don't have to complain because they couldn't complain, they couldn't say anything because they knew quite well that they were guilty. So they quickly rushed to pay their fine, and from there they conform, and we open the market for them. So it's enlightenment continues, all right. Public awareness, sustained enlightenment. Enlightenment is not a one-day affair. It's a marathon. It's something that must be consistent, and is one of the integral components of our management strategy.
All right, the program is still on, and